Going to a theme park is a fantastic trip for the family. But if you've got kids, it can present its own special challenge. Here are 8 tips and tricks I have for a family theme park vacation, especially if you go to the big multi-day trips. My kids have grown up going to theme parks. In fact, my daughter was probably 5 months old with her very first trip to a theme park. So we learned how to visit parks from a very early age with my kids, and a number of different things that we tried, and some trial and some error. That does definitely happen. But I've also seen a lot of other families come to parks and seen some of their tips and tricks and what worked and what didn't. So if you're getting ready to go to a theme park and you've got kids, especially if they are under age 10, there are 8 tips and tricks I've got for you that will help make sure that everybody has a great trip just by focusing on these things with the kids. Number 1, if they're a toddler or preschooler and they've never been to the park, make sure that they are familiar with the characters. This is going to, of course, be different for each different park. If you're going to a Six Flags park, it's going to be Bugs Bunny and his friends. If you're going to a Cedar Fair park, it's going to be Charlie Brown and Snoopy and all of them. At Disney, well, hey, it's Mickey Mouse and all the princesses and those characters, and there's a ton of them. And Universal, of course, has its own collection of characters as well. Do what you can to help the kids be familiar with those characters. Play the music. Play the cartoons. Play the TV shows. Play the movies. Sit down and watch with them so that way you are familiar as well. And make sure that you enjoy it. When the kids do see those characters, then it's going to make it more fun, more magical for them because they will recognize who that is. And all of a sudden, it's going to be something that'll be special for all of you. Plus, you'll get to learn who your kids really like and who they don't. And it'll help you zero in on where to go and what to avoid. Number 2, age really isn't an issue. I know there's a lot of people that wonder, should you take babies to the parks? Is it appropriate? There's a number of people that think you shouldn't even bother taking babies to the parks because they're too young to remember and don't understand, and others think there's a minimum age. But in all honesty, we found over the years that age doesn't make a big difference as long as you prepare accordingly. Ours were babies when we first took them, and trust me, a baby can have a great time at a park, even if it's just riding the merry-go-round. There's so much to see and do. My kids loved it from as soon as they could recognize things were different. They may not remember what happened, but they did definitely have a great time. And hey, I don't remember what I did before I was 4, but that doesn't mean it wasn't worth going. It doesn't mean it wasn't worth a visit for my parents as well. It just means that you need to prepare for an appropriate trip. If you've got babies, 2 and younger, make sure that you've got a diaper bag packed with extra diapers, at least 1 extra change of clothes in case of an accident, because, kids are great at those. Some snacks, baby food, formula, anything else that you need, make sure you have extra. Do not assume that a park has what you're going to need. Plan for them to have nothing for the kids as far as extra supplies go, and prepare it yourself and you'll be in much better shape. And then, yes, have fun with them. Number 3, strollers. Strollers are an awesome thing, especially if you've got younger kids. I know a lot of people who will travel to Disney and they will actually come from overseas, buy a stroller there, and then just leave it because they don't need it anymore. We had 2 kids that were 15 months apart, and we very quickly found out that having a double stroller was a godsend. In our case, it was the kind that sat one right behind the other, and you could actually take all of the seats, lay them all down. You had a giant double bed that the kids could sleep in if they were really tired, but it was also fantastic for keeping stuff. The coats, the ponchos, the diaper bag, the things that you bought, your snacks. We put it underneath the stroller, we put it in the back of the stroller and have a kid up in front. The stroller was fantastic for storing stuff. If we were going on a ride, we could leave some of it in the stroller. I want to say that as a big caution though, don't leave anything valuable. Yes, I know Disney's magical and nobody steals things from Disney. Yes, they do. Don't leave anything in that stroller that could be of value. If you've got something that's worth something, you either take it with you on the ride or leave it with somebody who is not on the ride. And of course, if you've got little kids, there's probably a good chance you've got people going on a ride the kids can't anyways, so just rotate the riders. Number 4, baby swap. This is something that most parks have a variation of in some way or other, where if you've got a kid who can't ride, or even the one that can, you can essentially take turns and trade, where somebody stays with the young one who can't ride, while the other parent rides with the kid who can ride. And then when the ride's over, you can switch places. Most parks have a system for this. I know for a fact that Universal and Disney do. Six Flags and Cedar Fair should. Check with the park to see what their specific things are, what the program is, and how to make it work. It should have information on the website. But if you're worried about riding with your 5-year-old or 6-year-old, meanwhile you've got a baby to take care of, as long as you've got 2 adults, it can work and both adults can ride without having to wait in the line. One group waits in the line first, gets on the ride, and then when they get off, you swap places and the kid and the other adult get right back on again without waiting. So check into that. It's a great way to save some time and get everybody rides in. Plus, the one kid gets to ride twice. Number 5, let the kids set their limits. Listen to the kids and what they do and don't want to do. Some kids are going to want to ride everything. Others are going to be, it seems like, afraid of everything. My son, when he was little, he was afraid of dark rides. He didn't like the dark, didn't like the enclosed feeling. He didn't really like things that had a drop, so the flumes made him scared. He eventually grew out of that, and now he loves them and rides everything. But at the time, they were scary experiences for him. At the same time, my daughter loved everything. Man, give her everything and give her more. But she would also get bored, and sometimes if she'd been on a ride once or twice, and then there was another similar ride there, she was like, yeah, I've already done that. Now we're looking at it going, yeah, but this is Peter Pan and that one's Snow White. She's just thinking, nope, I've already done that. Listen to the kids, and if they're scared, do not force them to ride. It's okay for a little one to be scared and to cry. Work with them. Many parks, in fact, Disney I know and others, if there is a kid that is scared and is crying, they cannot send that ride out. They will not dispatch it and let you go. So don't try to force the kid. You're not going to help them. You're going to make it worse and make them more upset. Be gentle with them. And if they're scared, let them be scared. That's okay. Kind of varying on that, make sure that you are aware of what the ride or attraction is as well. There are some out there that look like they're kid friendly, and they can really scare a kid bad. Haunted Mansion at Disney is like this. Tough to Be a Bug is a great example of this. It looks like a fun, friendly deal, but it is a terrifying show for little ones. The very first time we went to California Adventure to see this, I had heard that it might be scary, and so I actually went and saw the show with my sister while my wife stayed out with the kids and watched it and kind of evaluated, knowing my kids, if it was going to work. And we came out and said, no, son is not going. My daughter, we kind of explained what was going to happen with the show, and she wanted to do it. She was a little older, so she did it, and she was okay, but she admitted it made her nervous. 3 years later, when I took the kids again, at that point, my son was 7, almost 8, and it still terrified him when we tried, and we had to step out early. So listen to your kids. It's going to save everybody trouble. Number 6, don't be afraid to let the kids wander and explore and check things out. There's all sorts of stuff that they're going to find fascinating that we won't even notice. Remember, their eye level is on a different place. We're up here and they're like way down there. They get to see all these things that we can't possibly notice, but it'll be fascinating for them. Let them explore and check it out. Leave plenty of time for the kids to kind of wander at their own pace. It'll make it more fun and interesting for them to learn more, and you'll have a lot more fun. And you might even discover some things you didn't know about the parks because of them. At the same time, too, remember their pace. Their legs are shorter, and so they're not going to be able to go as far and as fast, and they may have a hard time keeping up. So slow down. Not just let them explore, but so you don't exhaust them. I know that when I go to parks, I tend to put on this hyperactive, fast pace to the point where my wife actually has to grab my belt loop sometimes and hold me back. And for my kids when they were young, that was hard. Daddy really had to learn to slow down for the kids, which was good for me and for them, because it made a more relaxed day, and gosh, I saw stuff I'd never known was there. Number 7. This is actually a big one. Bring snacks and treats. I know many parks have a no food policy. However, if you come in with little kids, toddlers, 4 or 5, and especially babies, they will allow you generally to bring in some kid-friendly snacks. It may be just some baby food. It might be granola bars. It might be gummy bears. It may be some chopped up fruit, something like that. Bring in some things for the little ones to eat, because as they go through the course of the day, for them, they're really burning off energy, and just those little snacks can turn a kid from being grumpy and cranky into a happy child. And that's a wonderful thing. So don't forget to bring the little finger foods for them to be able to help them recharge over the course of the day. Check with the park policies. Generally, their rules are no hard containers, no glass. But if you come in with like baggies of stuff and just simple small wrapped treats, that's usually okay. Especially when they look over and they see the kids. Confirm with the park first, though. But I know for Disney and Silver Dollar City, and we used to do this at Six Flags all the time, it's been fine for us there. The last tip, my number one, and this is probably my most important one. There's actually 2 or 3 things here all kind of tied together. Get a hotel close to the park and schedule around the hotel. This means being at the parks when they open, because you will have the smallest crowds there, you can get a number of things in. So you're going to have an early morning with the kid. Get there when it opens, and then round 1, 2, when the kid and the adults start to get tired, take a break. Head back to the hotel, take a nap, and I mean kids and adults. Maybe a quick swim break, depending upon if the weather allows it. Relax, enjoy some snacks at the room, and have a good 2 or 3 hour break where you just do nothing and recharge and get back up to speed again. And then at that point, then head back to the park and close it out that night. Now, if it's going to be a late night at the park, take a longer break in the afternoon and a longer nap. When we took our kids to Disneyland in California the very first time, they were 5 and 6 years old. Good enough age that they could go a little bit. We had a hotel room that was probably the equivalent of about a half mile away from the park, where we could actually walk from the hotel and then come into the parks. And then when we were done, we'd leave and just walk back to the hotel. It was a lifesaver to take that afternoon break every day. We went a whole week, imagine this, with no arguments, no tears, no crying, no fussing, no bad moments, nothing. And I'm honestly convinced that mid-afternoon break, going back to the hotel and everybody taking a nap and just relaxing and resting, I'm convinced that is the major difference maker. Otherwise, you've got your kids trying to go from 9, 10 in the morning until 9 at night, and that's a long day for adults, let alone little kids. Give them a break. And the best way to be able to make sure that break happens is if you have a hotel that is easily accessible to the park. Now, at Walt Disney World, this might mean staying on property and riding the buses. Same thing with Universal Studios. They often have resorts that are tied into the parks, and you can leave the park, hop on a boat, and go right back to your hotel room and take a break that way. Don't be afraid to take a break, and find ways to be able to do it easily. Now, if you go to a major park like Walt Disney World and you stay off property trying to save money, it's going to make it very difficult to do that effectively. And I will be honest, you're better off spending a little bit more money and being able to take that break. It's going to save your sanity with children. It really will. Yes, I know budgets sometimes don't allow, but do everything you can to try to make that work, because it will make your vacation so much better. So that's probably the biggest tip I can give, along with 7 others. So I hope these 8 tips help you out. Do you have other tips that you think would be very helpful, that you found good for your family? I'd love to hear them. Share them below. Have you found something that didn't work? Let's share that as well, because it's always good to know what to avoid. Good to learn from other people's mistakes. So please, don't forget to share those. Share your comments, suggestions, hints, ideas. If you haven't subscribed yet, well, hit that subscribe button and the notification. I'm approaching 30,000 subs, and I've got some giveaways and special events coming. So hey, the faster we get to 30,000, the sooner it'll happen. Thank you as well to my patrons for your financial support. If you want to know more about Patreon and supporting me, or about my merchandise, or my fan pages, or my Reddit, or my Discord, or the equipment I use, or even just more about me, check the description below. There's all sorts of information there. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. We have attended theme parks since before, and Universal has the Marvel superheroes and other Same thing with Universal Studios. They often have resorts that are tied into the hotels.